Hello and welcome back for another episode of this season 2 of Try This on Wisp Sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kirstin Lauritzen, and I'm so excited to introduce you to this next season because what we're going to be doing is interviewing a lot of pro athletes in a lot of different sports. Today, we're starting with an athlete in triathlon, but you will be seeing some athletes from all over, and we're going to be talking about nutrition and their careers and all their experiences and mostly with what they've learned in nutrition because that's the fun of this. But today I have a very special athlete, a pro triathlete. Her name is Alysha. She comes from a running background. She loved competing at a high level and the travel that came along with it. While living and working in Australia, Alysha discovered ultra trail running and triathlon. After competing in her first half distance triathlon in 2016, she was hooked on the sport. In 2021, Alysha obtained her professional triathlete card. Seeing an athlete reach a personal best and achieve goals they never thought possible is why Alysha coaches. Her coaching philosophy is to bring out the best in every single one of her athletes, whether it is a college athlete or experienced endurance athlete or an athlete that is just getting started. Alysha believes that there is a champion athlete inside each one of us. So Alysha, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. K, for the introduction.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So we actually just got done. You were a guest speaker on the summit. So that was super fun. And it was great to have you there as well. Diving into just introduce yourself a little bit more than that. How did you get started in sports and what kind of got you to where you are today?
Yeah, so a little bit more about me. I'm originally from Indiana, the Hoosier State. I went to school at University of Wyoming on a track and field and cross-country scholarship, and so was fortunate enough to, run Division I at a pretty high level. And after college, I always had the love for sport, but I was like burnt out on, competing and like the pain, honestly, that came along with, training at a high level day in and day out, because I started sports and athletics at a super young age. I'd say 5th grade. So I think when you're in 5th grade, you're, 10, 11. And I have a very A-type personality. So I always wanted to be the best and I always took it very seriously. So years and years of, competing at a high level and training at a high level, I kind of just took a break from all that, but I still kept, working out and running, and my company transferred me to Australia. And then while down there, I fell in love with triathlon because it's a beautiful place and there's really nothing you'd rather do than be outside. And that was the great thing with triathlon. It was swim, bike, running. Like you're always outside. I did my first triathlon while I lived down there, and I kind of got hooked after that because it is a very diverse sport. It's not just a single sport like running, where if you get injured running or if you have a bad workout, like it's hard to get out of that to that rhythm and kind of like move on past that. But the great thing with triathlon is like you get, injured running, or if you have like a swimming injury, or if you have a bad swim workout or a bad bike workout, like there's always another different type of workout that it's hard to compare them. And so I really like that about the sport. I moved back to the U.S. in mid 2017 and just continued on with triathlon. And I decided finally last year that I had qualified for my pro card a few times. And I finally decided last year to take a leap of faith and join the pro ranks and toe the line as a professional triathlete.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, so Coeur d'Alene was your first pro race?
No, actually, Coeur d'Alene was my last amateur race.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because so what Dr. K is referring to is Ironman Coeur d'Alene of 2021 was in June of 2021. And with COVID of 2020, all of the races had got deferred. So my goal going into 2020, goal being as of January of 2020, was to just go ahead and race 2020 as an age grouper. And then 2021 would be my first pro year. But since all of the races had got deferred, I had already paid for a few Ironman, like full distance, and I think halves. And so those just got rolled over into the next year. And if I would have been at the end of 2020, it's beginning of 2021, taken or applied for my pro card, I would have lost all of that money, those fees. Ironman's not going to give you back $700.
No, they're not.
So since I had already paid for Coeur d'Alene, because actually for a pro card, like there is a fee that comes along with it. So you apply, like there is an application fee, and then with USA Triathlon, and then also with Ironman. So it's kind of double dipping into the bank account a little bit. So I was like, since DDA was my last race as an amateur, and then I took my mid-season break after Coeur d'Alene, and then after my mid-season break, then the second half of 2021.
That's really cool. Yeah. So you were there too with the heat and all of those things for the Coeur d'Alene Ironman.
Yeah. And, and I'm fortunate because I know my body pretty well. And I think every body, as you know, Dr. K, you're a doctor, works in mysterious ways. And you can't compare one athlete to another athlete. And I just know that, like, I love heat training. So a little bit off topic, like I love heat training and what it does to your body. And then I also, like I had said in your summit, I live at altitude, and I love the effects of altitude and like what it does to your body and what it does to your performance. And I find that, like, if you take, say an athlete that lives in a sea level temperate environment, and I always just say New Zealand because when there's an Ironman there and it's sea level and it's temperate. So if you take, an athlete that lives in a temperate environment in New Zealand, and that athlete goes and races at altitude, say like 7,000 feet, or you take that athlete that now they go and race at a hot heat race, say in the Philippines, but they haven't done any altitude training, they haven't done any heat training. Well, every athlete's going to respond differently. Like some athletes, like they won't see as big of a law in performance at altitude, and they might not see as big as the law at heat, but some may and some may not. So, and I know my body, where if I wasn't at altitude, I would see a massive loss. Like for example, when I went on my recruiting trip to University of Wyoming, I went from sea level to 7,200 feet. And like, I just got really bad altitude sickness, but I still decided to sign there. But I just know, like, with that experience, like how when I would go back to sea level for a month and then go back up to altitude, how my body would be affected with that. And I don't transition probably as well as maybe some people, but with heat, on the other hand, I feel like I transition really well. Like I don't need a whole lot of heat acclimation going into a hot race. And I can just handle it. So that didn't bother me going into Coeur d'Alene, because as we both know, a week out from the race, 10 days out, it wasn't supposed to be hot. And then every day it just got 5 degrees hotter and 5 degrees hotter and 5 degrees hotter. And then all of a sudden on race day, it's 110 degrees. Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Like you can't do last minute heat prep, and that's where, the mindset comes in. And the only thing that you could do is relax and not try to fight it, because it's not going away.
Nope. Yeah. I think I laugh about it now, but that was the craziness of the whole thing, is just, it got hot just I mean, we had no idea what was coming. So you couldn't really even get heat acclimated, even if you wanted, if you wanted to, especially for female athletes. So yeah. And it's just so interesting. Like that day, I've talked to many different athletes who raced that day, and everybody, there were like so many people just had a wide range of different experiences. Like some people had a great race. And then others were kind of, they had their challenges. And then some people like me just really battled the heat a lot. And then that was just an interesting piece of that race. So as it comes to triathlon, is there a discipline that you like the most?
Yes. I would say, I'm a runner. At heart. I've always identified as a runner. I still identify as a runner, and I'll always identify as a runner. So running, to me, I have the most confidence. But since my background is running, I also put the most pressure on myself with running. I love biking. I don't put, a whole lot of pressure on myself with biking because I have nothing to compare it to. Meaning like, if my coach gives me, 1,000-meter repeats, currently, I know what I used to hit those in college when I was a pure runner. And there's a big difference between, a pure runner and an Ironman or a long distance triathlete runner. But with biking, I do quite enjoy biking. But still, like, my love and, after triathlon, I'm going to go back into ultra trail running. Like one of my goals is to do ultra trail marathon Mount Blanc or the UTMB. Mm-hmm. So I will go back into trail running, and I will compete. I'll say that I'll always bike, but I might not compete unless it's just like a gravel race. Swimming. Swimming, on the other hand, I have a love-hate relationship with swimming. I respect swimming. I have the utmost respect for it. It's just, if you didn't grow up swimming, it's a lot harder to become a good swimmer as an adult. Mm-hmm. With swimming and not swimming, but biking and running, it's so much endurance based. But if the more hours you put in the saddle, and the more hours that you put on your feet, you are going to see improvements because it's just, it's all about building that engine and muscle memory. Whereas like with swimming, it's a lot of technique based, and it's a lot of like mind body connection, and it's almost like trying to learn a foreign language. When you're 25 years old versus when you're 5 years old, it's just harder. But again, like I said, I respect it because there's so much fitness that can be had, that you can get with swimming, and it's easy on your body. So like what I tell my athletes is it's not free fitness because you have to put a lot of work into it. But it's not putting as much stress on your body as if you go out and do an hour threshold run, like an hour threshold swim versus an hour threshold, run workout. It's two completely different things on the body, but like cardio wise, you're still getting that benefit.
Yeah. How did you, so it sounds like you are similar to me that neither of us swam in high school or as a kid. How did you tackle that piece of getting better at the swim?
Well, a few different ways. And it's transitioning, like my swimming is a journey.
Yeah.
So like, to say the least, like just to start off with, like, I grew up as a runner, and as a runner, you don't swim because unless like say you have a high school swim team. If I would have had a high school swim team, I would have been on it but I played basketball. I'm from Indiana, basketball was my off season. It was in between track and cross country. I'm from a pretty small school, so we didn't have a swim team. So even if I wanted to swim, I didn't have that option. Plus, like, basketball's way cooler than swimming in high school. And especially being like a long distance athlete in high school, like you're never really that cool, but you know, your coolness factor definitely increases by playing basketball. So I never swam, and I just have these vague memories of high school that there was a couple times that I quote unquote swam because I was injured. And then same in college, there was 1 or 2 times I had to get into the pool because I was injured. So for me, swimming was always associated with injury, with running. And I just hated it. I mean, it was boring. You know, I was always fortunate, like, even though I went to school at University of Wyoming, we ran outside every day. You know, we had trails. So there was a big sense of freedom, and I guess mental relief. First, I felt like in the pool, it was, I mean, it's claustrophobic. If there's a black line, it's cold, it's wet. So when I started triathlon, that was the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around is one is like, I don't really know how to swim. Like, yeah, I could save my life, swimming. I think I could have saved my life, but you know, I started swimming in Australia again when all their pools are 50-meter, outdoor swimming pools. And literally for me to get to one end to the other was, I mean, I was redlining to just go 50 meters. And then I'd have to hang out at the wall for like 2 minutes. So, you know, so I guess my journey started with literally just getting comfortable being in the pool and having that mindset. Okay, if you want to compete in a triathlon, and you want to eventually get to the bike and the run, like you have to survive the swim. You have to get out of the water.
Yeah.
So that was like my first thing. And then after, you know, a couple triathlons, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like I could actually probably be pretty good at this because, you know, in my age group, I was always like, you know, pretty far up there, like in the top, like with actually probably overall amateur, like really high up there, on the bike and the run, and even just like the bike run combo. But like my swim was, it was way back there.
So you'd catch up.
So I was like, yeah. So I was like catch up. So I was like, okay, so I actually need to now put more time and effort into this. And so he's still my coach now, and he lives in Australia. He's got a really strong swimming background, and I literally was like, hey, I need to learn how to swim. And I joined a squad down there because in Australia, a lot of their so like in the US, like if you have a coach, it's a lot of like one-on-one, but down there they have a big club program. So you'd swim like with a squad, which I loved. And like you learn real quick, like what it takes to be a swimmer and a good swimmer in triathlon. So it shifted from like phase 1 was like, just get in the water and get comfortable with swimming. And then phase 2 is like, okay, it was literally just seeing what it was going to take to become a good swimmer. And then phase 3, I feel like was a lot about mindset, because for the first, I would say year or 2, I was in triathlon. I did not like swimming. Like I'd look at my workout, I'd have a bad attitude, like I had a bad attitude in the pool. And it took me also a long time to be able to do like a 90-minute swim or even a 60-minute swim and be able to just like get into that flow state, and to be able to zone out everything, you could say, outside of my lane, and just like focus solely on what I was doing in the water. And then I guess you could say phase 4 was, okay, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And since I live in Wyoming and my coach again is in Australia, I don't have a coach on pool deck.
Yep.
So it was me then taking video analysis of me swimming, and then doing research online and saying, okay, so like, good person I like. It's called effortless swimming. Mm-hmm. And he's like an Australian person, and he's got really good like online videos. And he focuses mainly on triathletes and open water swimming. So like literally I would put up a video analysis that he was doing of someone. And then I would look at my video analysis and I'd be like, okay, so what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? So then that was me then tweaking my stroke. And then I guess phase 4 is what I am in now, is like really getting out of my comfort zone. It's going to people where I can have a coach on the pool deck. So for example, I'm in Texas right now for a 1-week swim camp with some other pro triathletes. So where there is a coach on deck, he is giving you that one-on-one feedback. And then also like the workouts are so hard.
Really?
So I guess that's the phase that I'm in now, is it's a non-negotiable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
sorry, that was a really long-winded question.
That's
good.
Yeah,
that was long-winded.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, because I feel like a lot of the time when I'm talking to triathletes, and especially ones that are performing at a higher level, most of them, I feel maybe this is just my world, but I feel like a lot of them have had some sort of background in swimming. So it's like really refreshing and nice to hear somebody who kind of similar to me, just didn't swim all that much, and swimming was one thing that, you really had to build. Out of curiosity, for Australia, the squad that you had, was that just like a swim team, or was that like an actual team that was doing like long distance or like triathlon based training?
Second, so triathlon based training. So it's called
cool.
Stadium Tri Club. Yeah. So
okay.
So down there again, like they're coaching, because I know that you have a coach. But like in Australia, like you pay like a fee to be part of this club. And then like, with that club, like, they have, I think it's like 2 swims, like 3 or 4 times a week that you can come join, like track workouts, like indoor bike workouts. So like, there's like 100 people in the club, and like each time you show up for a workout, there could be like 30 other people. So like again, it was a 50-meter outdoor pool, we'd have 4 lanes, and then there would be, 6 to 8 people in each lane, which is really nice to just have people around you doing the same thing and pushing yourself. And then there would be, 2 or 3 swim coaches on deck. So you really felt like it was a team aspect, even though triathlon is 100% individual, but it was nice to be able to have people in that same environment.
Yeah, I actually think that it is really nice if you can like grab a buddy or find like a local cycling club or a local running club, or even the swimming point, which I'll say in a second. Finding just some people to train with every once in a while is really refreshing and really nice, especially when it kind of gets deep into the middle of those triathlon seasons where like doing a lot of stuff on your own is nice and fun up to a certain point. But then it also can be really nice to have that balance of having a group around you, and then, being able to kind of not necessarily measure up, but just make, it's nice to be able to just be with other people.
Exactly.
What I did, so because my coach is in Bellingham, Washington, and I'm down in Oregon, what I did is I went and joined a U.S. Masters swim team. So in the mornings, I go and swim with a bunch of people that were all swimmers.
Yeah.
And so, but I knew, I was like, I'm not going to get better at this. Like, I just knew that I had a lot of technique issues that I really needed to work on. So that's the reason why I did that, because you do have a coach on board. And I just started working on developing like a, coaching athlete relationship with our coach there. And he was able to give me some really, really solid tips that improved my swim a lot. And then I'm also now, telling him what my goals are as far as like what my next races are. And so it just has helped a ton, because now he knows, like just today, this was my first swim back in a bit, or I went back last week, but this was my first swim of this week. And And it was just great because, I was kind of getting warmed up again and trying to get used to being back in the pool after an off season. And he was like, yeah, that stroke is looking really, really, really good. So keep it up. And that just having that there is really nice. And that they'll give you little pointers here and there. And that it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it does. I mean, cause it's that instantaneous feedback that you get. And again, that's the thing with swimming is it's so much about muscle memory that if you're doing something wrong over and over and over again, but you don't have that mind-body connection, it feels right. You think it's right, but it's not right. And then when you try to fix it, you have that muscle memory of doing it the wrong way.
Yes.
And then doing it the right way feels so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But having that instant feedback on pool deck and you're like, no, like it's still wrong or it's getting better or it's 100%. It's nice. It's nice to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about nutrition and some coaching things, right? So we'll be right back after this short break. Okay, so when it comes to nutrition, what has your experience been as far as like learning how to fuel and also how to work your daily nutrition into not just starting out like in triathlon and just being an athlete, but how did you have to make any adjustments or was there any journey, along the way of figuring out how to do that now at like a higher level, being a pro triathlete?
Yes. It's a journey. It has been a journey. And I think for me, it'll always be a journey.
Yeah.
So starting back at the beginning of my journey, again, I'm very A-type personality. And when I started running when I was younger, I had success early on, 9-10 years old. But then I'd have people come up to me and they would be like, hey, like, good job. Like, you're doing amazing. But I know it's mostly men. I just want to let you know that like, you're probably going to slow down when you get older, because you're going to mature, you're going to get hips, you're going to get boobs, like, you're going to get curves. So not a good thing to tell someone. I just started developing an eating disorder from early on, and it progressively got worse, like in middle school, and then progressively got worse in high school, and then like in college, like being a Division I long distance runner. It got pretty bad, I would say, with anorexia, and ultimately it derailed my collegiate career because. Okay. It is, it's like, this could be like a whole different topic, right? But
yeah,
with something like that, it's how long and how bad are you going down that path, right? And then all of a sudden, like, if you do start getting better and start eating, you don't actually get that energy back the next day. Because you have that deep fatigue in your body. And again, your body is smart and your body has adapted to eating, 1,000 calories a day or 1,500 calories a day when it really needs like 3,000 or even more than that. So it took me a couple of years to get out of that. And then by the time I got out of that funk in college, then I was in, the real world, my corporate job. And then I switched to being bulimic because I was like, I know it's horrible. Yeah. So that I was like, because I was, again, A-type personality. I still want to wear the same jeans.
Yes.
That I, wore in college, but I don't want to run 70 miles a week. Right. And I want to eat pizza and I want to drink beer and I want to have fun.
Yeah.
And so I started down the path for another handful of years of being bulimic, which is, again, completely different topic. Like, I think both anorexia and bulimia yes, they're both eating disorders, but they are completely different, actually. And like the recovery from them, and then like the mental toll that they take, and the physical toll. But anyway, so then, when I was in Australia, I was like, okay, I finally came to the crossroads where I was like, I either need to get help or I need to like help myself.
Sure.
So I was like, I need to figure something out. Cause like with bulimia, like you don't trust yourself. You know, cause like, you know, like I just tell people like, you know, like with anorexia, someone can sit like a massive, say, chocolate cake or whatever in front of you. And like, you won't touch it. Like you just have that willpower that you will not touch that cake. Like it doesn't even smell good. It doesn't look good. Like it's almost like repulsive to you. But like with bulimia, like literally like you could take like one lick of the icing and then that switch has been flipped and then you eat the whole cake. Yeah. So like you just don't trust yourself.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, so I started doing research on, I still need some boundaries, but I need less boundaries. So like, what do I do? So I started experimenting with like different fad diets, you could say. So it was like, so back then, I guess the keto diet has now evolved into high fat, low carb. So I tried that. And then I tried just like some other random things, and it just like never worked. Like nothing worked for me because I still felt that stress around food. And so then I finally was like, okay, I'm going to try plant-based. And it seemed to work because I love fruit, and with high fat, low carb, like you can't eat fruit. And I was like, I'm not a massive meat eater. But I have to eat chicken like all the time and eggs and like canned tuna. I was like so over it. Like I just want a slice of watermelon. So I switched to plant-based, and like immediately it seemed like a lot of the stress went away that I had around food, which was really good. And so I actually went plant-based, and then that was the great thing. And then I found triathlon. And then what I enjoyed about triathlon is it takes so many different body types. And that was another thing that I think I was stuck in the rut with running, is like, I need to have this body type, this lean, gazelle, slender, whimsical body type, because my body type is, even for a long distance runner, like I've always carried a lot of muscle. And it's just how I am. Like I just carry muscle. So I had always tried to shed that muscle, and I refused to lift because I was like, my legs are so muscular, and I don't want them to be muscular. I want them to be, twigs, because I'm a long distance runner. I'm not a sprinter. But that was the beautiful thing about triathlon is, once I got started into it, I realized it was like, wow, like your body there is no right body type. There is no wrong body type. Like so that helped relieve a lot of the body issues that I had. And then of course, then it also then in turn made me relax around the nutrition aspect. And I slowly, as I progressed down the triathlon path, I looked at my body not as an object, but as more as a tool, or as say a sports car, because it was going to get me somewhere. So like I needed to take care of it. So I went plant-based, and then as I went down the journey of being plant-based, I learned more about it and what I needed and what I didn't need. And for example, like protein, it's like, okay, it's the big question when someone goes plant-based. It's like, where do you get your protein? And,
Yep.
And and I'll be honest, like, it's like a new person. That's like when people ask me about, about plant-based, I'm like, it's it's not difficult to get your protein, but you do have to stop and think about it. And then but once you learn about it, then it's easy. But like, if you do start down the path of being plant-based, like, it is more than just salads and raw broccoli.
Yeah. Yes.
But so it kind of like went hand in hand, like my triathlon journey and my body image journey, my new nutrition journey, it has evolved. So that's a super long-winded question.
I mean, you answered like all of my questions, like, on your way. No, that was actually really great. I think one of the things that is really common in sports is eating disorders. And it's not just women and female athletes. It happens for male athletes as well. And part of it is an image piece, like you mentioned. And on the other part of it is, I think, and look, I can completely identify with and relate to what you were saying. For the longest time, like my background in sports was being a gymnast. And at a certain point, I was too big to be like a competitive gymnast. Just not compact enough. But I also have a genetic predisposition to, if I start weightlifting, like, I will put on muscle faster than like people around me, including my husband. And so, as soon as I start weightlifting, like, that's just so easy. But then one of the interesting things about getting into triathlon is the switch from doing a lot more like CrossFit based, like weightlifting and having a lot of muscle density, to now having a little bit of longer and leaner muscles, but I'm still thick. Like, I still have quite a bit of muscle. But the thing is that at first I was like, oh, there's no way that like I'll ever be able to like be as fast as, some of these people who are, as you mentioned, like gazelles, right? And tall and lean. And then I started realizing that the muscle that I have produces a lot of power. So like things on the bike and the run, I actually can, really improve and get to a point where I perform at a decent level. And it doesn't necessarily, like, that's the best part, I think, about triathlon, is that because of the multiple disciplines, you get just such a wide range of people that can compete in it. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And again, I'm all about, like, your body is super smart, right? I mean, it will adapt and it'll mold into the athlete's body that it wants to be. But then again, like, if you have an eating disorder, your body is also smart. Like, you think you're tricking your body, but your body has its own defense mechanisms. That'll also fight against you. But at the end of the day, like, you have to be like that whole, like, mind body connection. It has to be in harmony. And once it's in harmony, it'll be okay.
Absolutely. So right before we wrap up, you're also a coach for triathlon as well. Is that right? Yeah. So, I coach, triathletes, and then I also coach, individual sport athletes. So, ultra runners or ultra cyclists. So I coach, I'm a coach with Mama Endurance. Okay. It is my passion. I love coaching, and I've coached also, at the collegiate level of NCAA women's triathlon team, and to see people of any background or any goals, to reach like their own personal goal and help them along the way is really inspiring. And it is true. Like, I get so much inspiration, from my athletes. They might, like, people might be inspired by me, or people might be inspired by you, but, like, as you know, because, you're a doctor and you help people, it's like, it goes both ways. Like, your athletes or your patients or whoever, like, can inspire you just as equally as what they say that you inspire them. Oh, Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. What made you decide to go into coaching?
I've always loved it.
Okay.
So even during like my corporate career, so I was an engineer, and a superintendent for like a construction company. But I still had people that would ask me to, hey, can you write me, a training program and this and that. So I'd always done it, but I had never done it, like full time, I guess, or like committed to doing it because I had my corporate job. And so I was just helping people out, but I loved it. And that's what I knew that like, okay, once I retired from my corporate career, I wanted to go into coaching, just because, that's kind of what my passion was. And I know it's cliche, but they say, if you wake up every day and I guess you go to work, but it doesn't feel like a job, or I actually don't even know how that goes. And it's not a job, or I forget how that saying goes.
You'll never work a day in your life if you love what you do, or something like that.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to get at. So, but yeah, so no, I love it. And I don't take on a whole lot of athletes. Like, I'm not a coach that's going to coach 30 athletes, because I want to give every athlete what they need. And I spend a lot of time on my athletes. It's one-on-one, it's customized training. Because again, everyone's different. Everyone's background in sport is different. Everyone's body is different. Some people might be more fragile, on the running aspect. And some people might not have access to bike as much as, like, I call it, again, back to my construction, background, and they call it like rip and read contrast, meaning it's just like copy and paste. So I just say rip and read training plans is like the ones that you can buy online. So you can go and buy a rip and read training plan and try to apply it to yourself, but it's not going to work. And my theory is, like, if you go out and spend $10,000 on a bike, you should probably also invest a little bit into a coach to put that $10,000 bike to good use.
I 100% agree with that. Like, one of the best choices I made was bringing on my coach in June of 2020. That was the best choice that I made.
Yeah, and look, and again, like, I'm not one of those coaches that say that everyone needs a coach. Like, you need to come and I need to be your coach and you need to pay me. And this is like the only way to go about triathlon. That's not true. And actually, that's one thing when I was doing my USA Triathlon coaching certification, is kind of like what I didn't like, is they almost said that like almost everyone needs a coach, which is, it's not true. And I have a lot of people that come to me inquiring about coaching, or I just tell people, hey, do you have any questions about coaching, whether it's for me to coach you or not? Like, just come ask me. And so, some people are self-motivated, and some people know how to read their body. And some people might not have the time or the money to hire like a coach, but you could still kind of put them on the right path. Yeah. Like, if you have someone that's like, hey, I think I want to do an Olympic a sprint or Olympic this year. I have a swim background, or I have a running background, or I have access to a master swim team and I do spin class. I'm like, you're pretty much set to go. Like, just keep going to your master swim and then, do spin class a couple times a week, throw in some runs there. They're good to go. Like, they don't really need a coach. But then there's some people that, like, they don't want to think, maybe they do have that high stress corporate career and they just want to be told what to do. They want to do an Ironman in 6 months and they have no idea how to go about it. And those people need a coach. And then there's people, of course, in the in-between. Sure.
Yeah. Well, this was amazing. Where can listeners find you?
Yes. So the easiest place is Instagram, ironwoman.alysha.krall. And then in there is a link in my bio is a link to my coaching profile on Mana. But honestly, just direct DM me. I get back to people. I'm a pretty personal person, so I'll get back to you. And again, I'll give you my honest opinion.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. K. I appreciate it, the invite.
Yeah. And good luck to you on your next, what races do you have coming up this year?
Yeah, so 2020 is going to be a super exciting year for me. Fingers crossed, the world is going to be okay. So looking at Ironman Texas at the end of April, and then Ironman Lanzarote at the end of May. So that'll be 2 back-to-back full distance, and then I'll take an off season, or my mid-season break. And then I quite enjoy doing the X-Tris. So it's a Starvation Man is the only X-Tri that can qualify you for the Norseman in Salt Lake City. So I'm doing that in July. Mm-hmm. And then I have paid, because I had to enter a lottery, and I got into a lottery to do the Icon X-Tri over in Italy. So, but I paid for that, but it's either going to be the Icon Tri or Ironman Chattanooga. And then hopefully Ironman Western Australia in December. So lots of travel.
Yeah. I hope they open up.
So you need to come down with me. Yeah, come down with me. We'll swim with the squad down there.
Oh my gosh, that would be super fun. So I've actually been eyeing Starvation as well, because the X-Tris. So for any of you who don't know, like the Norseman is one of the things that's on my like bucket list of races. It's the reason I pretty much got into triathlon. So,
love it.
So if you don't know, the Norseman is one that you pretty much have to get into a draw, like a lottery system. And most of the time it just can take it can take years to get that, to get your name drawn. So one of the things you can do is you can go to some of these other X-Tris, and if you're in the first 2 slots of women that finish first, then you get a opportunity to go to the Norseman. So, but part of the problem too is Norway hasn't been open. So the last couple of years, everything's been full because so many people are, transitioning over into the following years. So as soon as that opens up again. So yeah, Starvation is on my list. I was going to consider maybe doing it this year, but I may wait a little bit. So we'll find out.
I would say just sign up for it. And then when you do, let me know, because again, the thing, so as a listener, so like Starvation, the run is at a very high altitude. Yeah. So the run, like you actually average running at an altitude of 9,000 feet. I forget what the gain loss is. Like I think the trail run gain is like 7,000 feet. So, but it's the fact that you're at that 9,000. You probably go down to 8,000 or 7,000, but then I think you might peak up at 11,000. So that's where I find it's super interesting for that altitude training to come in, because, there's a lot that comes into play there. And as you with the nutritional side, that then on the nutrition side, it's even more like, now we're starting to talk about iron, and we're talking about, even, hydration and different things that, anyways, that could be a whole different podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll do that in the future. All right. Well, that's our episode for now. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow Wisp Sports on all social media channels, and make sure to share this episode with anyone you think may love it. If you also could leave us a review, if you have enjoyed this podcast, that would be amazing, either on Apple Podcasts or whichever, podcast you listen to, whatever app you use to listen to your podcasts. Leaving a review helps get this out to more people. So you can also follow me at Dr. Kirstin on Facebook and Instagram, and drkirstin.com. If you'd like to reach us with any comments or questions about this episode, you can at info@wispsports.com. And you can also leave a direct message with us over on social media as well. Thank you for listening, and I will be back next week. Take care.